Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while. Benny? Oh, what did I usually say? Smash that subscribe button. See?
There you
it
go.
has totally been a while.
Been a while.
Maybe you don't want to smash the subscribe button now. Any which way.
No way. Do it.
Yeah, please do so. Support the channel. We are back. Bombers are back. Benny, what do you have to say to our... Not what? That's the end of the show. Benny, where can they find us on social media? Oh, my God.
We're gonna get these wrinkles out of here after a few weeks.
Sure.
I'm sitting here going. I'm just right now. I didn't write them down. I'm like, okay, what social media are we on again here? Yes, find us. Rate Benny Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also check us out on Reddit and Discord, and don't forget to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
We get a preseason too.
Ooh,
we
yes.
get the shakeout of the whatever we got right now. The cobweb.
Get these out of the system.
What was the most encouraging thing you saw from the Bombers' first preseason game against the Roughriders?
Roughriders. Yeah, good to have football back. Swing of things. Home opener coming up soon. For me, I like the look of the quarterbacks. All four of them actually did a really good job. Zach Collaros started the game, put up some good numbers. Chris Streveler came in after that. Terry Wilson, and now I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Chris.
Now I forget too, and now I'm under pressure.
Oh my God!
It's okay. You got time to look. I agree. Their accuracy, all of them. Their accuracy was very impressive, and I think that'll segue into what I thought was the most encouraging thing. But yeah, I can't remember that dude's name, but the QBs look really good. Like they got the ball out of their hands quick. And I guess I might as well transition, do a little segue here. That's what I liked about this preseason game. It was encouraging to see Hogan and maybe also Jarius Jackson get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick, use the flats, and that really helps get the linebackers' eyes and the defensive backs' eyes into the backfield. So, that'll probably open stuff deep for when Dembski joins the team, and when Schoen joins the team probably next week. I don't know if they get a few snaps or not, but that's what I liked. In addition to what you said, the quarterback play, the accuracy that looked great, but the game plan of getting the ball out of their hands quickly.
Yeah, that was fantastic, because that was kind of a lot of plays last year were long developing, and for Zach Collaros, taking those hits was not good, right? And yes. It started to add up as the season went on, and as we saw, he got less and less effective. Artupias, I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Thank you.
This, right, is his first time. I can't find this in the article because I'm scrambling here to look at. Next time I'm writing this down, but yeah, he looked impressive to me. When they cut Shea Patterson a week ago, I thought, okay, what's going on here? Because I thought this guy was coming in to possibly be the number 2, but they really must have liked something out of these guys that they had between Streveler, Wilson, and Artupias. So yeah, it's good to have that. And we know the Bombers, and we know what's the guy they drafted again. Now that just left my head too. They just signed in Green Bay as well. Yep. Struggling with names here to start things out of the gate. So he's probably a long shot to be on the Bombers this year. And obviously being in the NFL and being on that practice roster, you're going to make some good coin compared to sitting on the Bombers practice roster or as a backup QB. So yeah, it's good to see. We need that kind of lineage of the next guy, right? Yes. Who's going to step up for Zach Collaros. And we saw in the Grey Cup, they didn't trust Terry Wilson at that time.
No.
That you're going to put Zach Collaros back in with a busted up finger to try and win that game. So they need someone they can trust back there this year.
Do you think the Bombers are strictly going to go with Chris Streveler in week 1? Or do you think they're going to go with possibly a 2 QB approach? Because we know for a fact that Zach Collaros ain't playing in week 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, not week 1, week 2 of the CFL season, week 1 for the Bombers.
Yeah.
Someone's got to have it.
Yeah.
So might as well give it to the maybe oldest team in the league. Any which way, what was I talking about? Snaps. They got to get their snaps. Chris Streveler. Yeah. Do you think they'll go with a QB combo attack, or do you think it'll be strictly Chris Streveler?
I think to start, they're probably going to be a lot of Chris Streveler to get it going. Chase Artupias. There we go. Sorry for calling him Chris. Chase. Yeah, I think they're going to go with Streveler. As long as Streveler looks good in the next game here in the preseason and can control and move the offense. And I think he'll be the first one out of the gate, obviously, to start that game. And as long as he's moving this offense, I think they'll probably just stick with him.
Man, I'm sure Collaros might not get any snaps next game, but I
No,
think
but Dalton Schoen
Stone
traveled,
and
so it looks like he's
Dembski
going to be in that
will.
game.
Yeah,
So that's good
Dembski
to see.
went too.
I don't think Dembski was part of the travel. I don't think.
Oh, Oliveira stayed home.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
What was the most concerning thing from last game? I'm gonna say special teams. The
Yeah.
return game again lacking. No real. Hey, there's a possibility here. Of course, Peyton Logan is hurt. I think he won't be there for the first game either. With Zach Collaros, so we won't see him on special teams. But and the returning game from Saskatchewan looked fabulous. They made Dre McCray look awesome. So good that there's a little bit of controversy if Alfred will continue to be the returner there. Because the coverage was not good at all.
No, no, not at all. And that's the disappointing thing. Uh, we saw it last year. It started off a little bit slow, and then it picked up. But it is concerning. At least it's just right out of the preseason,
Yeah.
right? Work out those kinks. But like you say, um, it is not the greatest thing for me. It's the lack of touchdowns, and it was the same thing last year, right? Quarterbacks played great, offense was moving the ball, but at the end of the day, we're settling for 5 field goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's great to see Sergio Castillo on the mark and in fine season form, but we really need to get those touchdowns this year. We cannot be stalling and just settling for field goals again.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Also, the two top rushers, in the Roughriders averaging more than 7 yards a carry. I think maybe the first one was at 8.9. And that's not good because the Bombers did have difficulties stopping the run at some times in the year. Like even
Yeah,
Kadeem carrying the Grey Cup looked pretty decent. He looked consistent whenever he had the ball in his hand.
Kadeem Carey always looks decent against the Bombers for some
Ugh,
reason.
he
You
knows.
know,
He knows.
well, you know what? If we're going to put on another thing, I'm going to go back to an encouraging thing. I know safety is going to be a big spot this year with Brandon Alexander gone. Looks like Jamal Parker kind of has the first crack at it, but Cam Allen, rookie, looked pretty good in that spot. He did have an interception in that game, so give kudos to him in his first CFL uh, game, I guess.
Yeah.
Looking good and you know not looking totally like a rookie. Looked like he knew what he was doing out there.
I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I'm still hurt they didn't sign Brian Cole. I really want to see that guy at
Your
safety.
boy.
I thought I was over that, but you brought it up, and I'm like, you know what? It still sucks. But it was awesome to see Jamal Parker in that spot. One word to describe the Zach Collaros extension and why. I'm gonna go with necessary. Like you mentioned earlier, the Bombers don't have a replacement for Collaros after this season. I'm really hoping that Wilson takes a step forward. How can we see that without Zach Collaros getting injured? I don't know. So we probably won't. Because Striver's gonna, unless Wilson's the whatchamacallit, short yardage, but still, how much experience can you get there in regards to throwing the ball and reading defenses? So yeah, necessary. Zach Collaros signing the extension for a year.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of following the same route by going insurance because they don't know what they have yet. Um, Streveler is probably not the well, not probably, he isn't the long-term solution, right? We'll see where that goes this year. And who they drafted, I got the name now, Taylor Elgersmat. I'm terrible at
Yeah.
pronouncing last names. So maybe he's the future, but right now he's going to be kicking around probably the NFL. Same with Curtis Rourke, who got drafted by the Niners. He's probably going to kick around the NFL for a few years before they probably end up settling back in the CFL. Is Terry Wilson the guy, or is this Chase Apertarius going to be the guy? But we don't know. And like you say, you're not going to know unless something happens to Zach Collaros, which we don't want to happen at
Yeah.
all, right? So, yeah, I feel like it is insurance because we've seen Zach Collaros for the last few years. Like his numbers last year were not good, right? Compared to what he was doing previous seasons. And I know we like to rag on him for his great cup performances and playoff performance, but his season performance altogether wasn't great. And the whole offense altogether struggled at times last year. So he's going to be 36 at the end of that extension, right? Or is he turning 36 this year?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's getting up there in age, right? And he's been taking some good hits over the last couple of years. Again, the O-line's going to have some new pieces in there. Are they going to gel right away, or is he going to be running a little bit or taking some hits? So, yeah, insurance for me. And I think they needed to do it because they don't know what they have behind them.
Who's a new piece?
Hey,
Who's a new
well, just
piece?
guys coming in, right? Coming in for Liam Dobson is going to be
Oh,
Eli
yes,
Tooley,
yes, yes,
right?
sorry.
Um,
Yes, 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 yes. That's right.
like is Gabe Wallace going to be the guy?
Because
So
they got Bryant and Eric Wilson's going to be the Eric Wilson. Remember Eric Wilson back in the day? He was a guard for the Bombers who played both O line and D line.
I don't, but your memory is way better on those guys
Yes,
than
I'm talking about
me.
Lofton. I should be talking
Yes.
about Lofton, but I said Eric Wilson. Bomber fans, you'll remember him. He played both sides of the ball, I believe.
Colin Kolsky's still the center, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Neufeld
So
played.
you got Neufeld's back, so you got Vanderpool. So really there's the one guard position
Hmm.
that's gonna be new, right?
Yeah.
But again, Neufeld to me last year was okay. Wasn't the greatest. Randolph came in, played well. So,
Yes, he was
and
very versatile.
all those guys are getting up in age, right? So who knows? It's an 18 game season. Are they gonna get through it all?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Gabe Wallace get some time on that field.
Yeah, I'd like to see him. He's a big boy out there. So yeah.
Man Mountain, boy, that was a good shit. Um, what are you hoping to see in the preseason rematch with the Rough Riders?
Some TDs.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I say.
No, I just really I'm interested to see again talking about that O line. I'm interested to see that left guard spot. And right now I'm looking at it on the depth chart, and Vanderpool is scheduled to start with Wallace backing him up.
Yeah.
And in right guard, Neufeld is on the depth chart as well with Eli backing him up. So I'm interested to see what ends up happening there and who they go with and how quickly that O line can gel together. Randolph is playing right tackle because I believe Lofton is currently hurt right now. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. So it'll be interesting to see there what happens and who they end up going with.
I'm a huge fan of Randolph. I was really
Yeah,
concerned when they put him on the practice roster at the end of last year. I was like, oh no, I hope no one makes a last ditch. It might have been too late in the year, but any which way, I'm glad to see him back.
yeah, he came in and played well, and he played all over the place on that O line, and I thought he did a good job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bomber fans, put your comments in the comments section below. Rematch with the Saskatchewan. Oh, did I forget a question?
Well, you didn't answer it.
Oh,
What
I
you're
said
looking
me as
for?
well. I said me
Okay,
as well. But I'm also
okay.
curious
Sorry,
actually
just
to
that.
see the play calling and how that progresses from game one to game two. Because they're not going to show the whole playbook, but it was nice to see at the end of the first quarter specifically a commitment to the running game. I really like to see that. Whether Oliveira got -2 yards of play before, they still went for another run. I like to see that. I like to see a more commitment, more I like to see more committed to the running game.
And just to correct myself from earlier, Dembski is on the depth chart, so he is there as well.
Nice.
And I find this interesting. Artepeos, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong again, is listed as number 3 on the quarterback chart ahead of Wilson. So I'm not sure if that means anything or if we're
Mm-hmm.
reading too much into that. But that's an interesting thing for me.
It was really nice to see also this Myron Mitchell connection with Zach Collaros early and often.
Yeah, he's listed 3rd on the depth chart behind Wheatfall and Hall
Maybe because
for tomorrow.
probably
So
because his position's secured already.
that
I
could be the
shouldn't
thing.
say that, but yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, it is a CFL, so you got to take a lot of these guys, even if they're going to be your starters for the season. You're taking a lot of guys with you, right? So
Yeah.
at least we're looking at Willie Jefferson and Vaughters are not in the lineup, so get to take a look at some of these other guys at defensive end and see what they can do.
They got to find that third defensive end that comes in to rotate. They got to.
Yeah, well, they definitely do. Jefferson and Vaughters are both older; they're both plus 30, right? So you got to give these guys breaks enough so that they're still fresh. And we know Willie Jefferson's probably in the best shape on the whole team, maybe him or Oliveira, right?
Been
So
that working for sure, man.
yeah, so those guys will be ready to go 18 games.
Let's still shift over to some Winnipeg Jets talk. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Jets season? You want to go first?
Sure. As a whole, obviously we're including the playoffs here, right? I'm gonna give him a 7.2. Obviously, wicked regular season. I mean, President's Trophy, can't ask for much more. than that. Hellebuck, Vezina, possibly Hart Trophy. Connor was a driving force. Connor Scheifele playing better D for the most part this year. Some guys stepping up. Dylan Sandberg on the D stepping up, growing into his role a little bit more, which also helped Neil Pionk kind of bounce back this year as
Yeah.
well, and then sign that extension. The third pairing was still a flux for me. And to me, the bottom six is still, I think, a work in progress. But then came the playoffs. And I don't know if the Jets got exposed or injuries caught up to them or what the heck happened there. But that series against St. Louis was a struggle. And I know St. Louis beat the heck out of them, right? They hit them a lot, right? And the Jets somehow managed to get through with guys injured at the end of it, Shifley and Morrissey. Into Dallas, though, unfortunately, their sticks kind of went cold, right? And a lot of people said Ottinger outplayed Hellebuck. We just saw Ottinger play against the Oilers, and he got pulled tonight on 2 goals, 2 shots in a critical game 5. So to me, I think it was more the Jets making Ottinger look good and Dallas capitalizing on their chances. But it was a disappointing end to the season for the Jets because I feel like they should have beat Dallas. They should have beat Dallas. They were probably the better team than Dallas in most of those games. They just couldn't find the back of the net. And it ended up in heartbreaking game 6. So good regular season or great regular season, disappointing playoffs for me.
Yeah, I think when it came to making big saves at the right time, I think Ottinger absolutely outplayed Hellebuck in that series. I'm gonna give the Jets an 8.6 on this one. Simply because they exceeded all of my expectations. Great regular season, President's Trophy. I didn't see that coming. Fought hard. They got past the first round. I did not see that coming. They fought hard. Yes, I was a pessimistic one, without a doubt. I didn't think they had the horses to get them over that hump, but they did. They got over St. Louis with seconds left to save them and to move on to the next game. But any which way, they got to the second round. Probably the best coach in the league, I'd say. Looking at the roster that he had and how he did with the team and that President's Trophy, definitely will weigh heavy on that. Top 3 GM in the league. Yes, he's handcuffed by where he is, but did he do the most at the trade deadline? I don't think so. So yeah, 8.6.
Yes, that's fair. You can go either way, right? I mean, obviously, yeah, I didn't expect them to be President's Trophy. I'm pretty sure if I go back, I'll say they were fighting for probably a wild card
Yeah,
spot in the playoffs
me too.
or for the playoffs. So yeah, where they ended. And it's, what the unfortunate thing is, you look at, look at Edmonton. They rolled through, after getting that scare against the Kings, they ended up rolling through them afterwards, 4 straight and, win that 4-2. They rolled through Vegas. They now rolled through Dallas, kind of thing. And then you look at Florida over Carolina. Like Carolina was that Metropolitan was that easy kind of thing, and the Jets were stuck in a tough division. And it was hard games, and it was a grind to end that season. It was a grind against the Blues. Like the Blues hit them like nuts, and that kind of factored in where your smaller D were kind of getting beat up. You look at Florida, they're huge, right? They got a big team. Whereas the Jets, half their D are smaller guys, right? So that may have taken a toll, and maybe that's something they're going to have to look at.
Well, they have to look at.
Oh yeah, but I mean, there's not much they can do there. You already got these guys signed, right? You got Morrissey, Pionk, and now DeMello are all signed, right? And your biggest guy, Logan Stanley, is a liability out there. Luke Shen, he was okay, right? Not worth the second rounder. I didn't like the second rounder. Brandon Tanev for that second rounder. I'm like, you didn't just need to make trades for the sake of making trades. You could have kept those assets and maybe turned them into something else. So
you got free agency.
Yeah, you got some moves to make. Especially with Lowry out now.
Yeah,
for the next 5 to 6 months, and which is probably a month or two into the season, possibly. You need to definitely find that second center.
They can't go with Nemestikov again.
No, it's very critical, and I props to Nemestikov because he played better than I thought, but he was not the guy for that spot.
Do you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think, with the way Perfetti ended the playoffs, that he might take a step forward and be that 2C for next season?
I'd like to see him get another shot.
Me too. At this point,
I think he was probably one of their better players against St. Louis. In Dallas, not so much, or against Dallas, not so much. But again, I feel like it's another step in his process, right? That guy stepped up big, and he had some glorious opportunities against St. Louis and just couldn't find the back of the net until, things started to turn his way. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely like to see him get a second shot, but I still feel like they need someone. They're going to need someone anyways
And it's a
with Lowry out.
size.
So,
It's a size. Lowry out.
well, Lowry's going to be out, right? He's got hip surgery. He's out for
Oh,
at least a
right.
couple months of the season. So,
Yeah.
you know, right now, who are your centers? Shifley and Domestikov? Like Tornado to me, also, it's like it's run its course, man. You need to try
No.
some of those younger guys into this lineup and see what they can do. Look at some of the best players for St. Louis in this series. Some of them were their younger guys, Steggerud, all those kind of guys, right? They stepped
Yeah.
up. Like we need to kind of inject that youth into the forward group somehow.
Would you be comfortable going into the first couple months of this season with a situation of either Nemesnikov or Perfetti being the 2C and Jonathan Taves coming in as a bottom 6 center?
Yeah, I'm not totally sold on Taves yet because obviously has not played in a long time.
Yes.
So who knows what kind of shape or hockey shape really he's going to be in, right? And if he can keep up with the grind of it all again, right? So I think it's risky business a little bit like that. And if you're banking on Perfetti being your 2C, what's your backup plan in case it doesn't work? You can survive possibly a couple months with those guys, but what happens if Lowry's out longer, right?
Yeah.
And I'd rather see Lowry, for as good as he plays sometimes, stick to that third C role, right? We need to find someone in that second role, and I think they're really gonna have to look through the free agency market to find that guy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see these guys get a chance. So Yager or Yager, Lambert, Chibrikov, like,
But
and
Brad
we're gonna talk
Lambert's
about
got to be there next year. He's
yeah,
got to be in the big club next year.
and that's the thing, and it's up to him at this point, right? He didn't have the greatest season altogether, even back with the Moose.
Yeah.
I don't know if he struggled, but his points and his goals weren't where they need to be. And I don't know if that's his confidence starting to get shot a little bit, but he's going to need to pick it up because we need him now to take that next step.
Yeah. We've been obviously off the air for a while, but it's worth again mentioning and shouting out to Mark Scheifele in the way he ended that series and what he had to go through and the heart he put and everything he put on. That was crazy. That was one of the most craziest sports things I've seen other than Brett Favre. Like,
Yeah.
shout out to him and what he had to go through and the team for rallying around him.
Yeah. I still feel for the guy how it ended. All that kind of stuff. It's like hockey gods are cruel, man. You're thinking,
Oh,
okay,
what a test.
it's not going to end that way, but all the best to him. So
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Off season. Let's look at the UFAs. Sign or not. We're going to go down the list. Let's go with the easiest one, I would think. Ehlers.
sign, yes. Although his playoff performance to me still leaves something to be desired, I need him to step up in the playoffs. But I feel like you need to sign this guy because now you got another gaping hole that you got to kind of contend with.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to sign this guy. Got to sign it. He's great especially in the power play. He just opens things up. And even 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Appleton. I'll be good with not.
Yeah. No.
They sign him. I won't be pissed, but I hope he's like on the fourth line. But I don't think they should go out and make an effort.
No, I'm done with the guy. Huge miss in that Dallas game, man, and I still can't get over that. That puck wasn't even hitting the net. That's what drives me crazy the most. His offside against St. Louis in that first round, like just he's not performing what he needs to perform on that ice for them to give him a contract. So no to Mesa and Appleton.
Fleury on the D.
Yeah, if you can get him back for a nice cheap contract, and have him, even if he's possibly your seventh guy or whatever, I think he played decent enough in the playoffs and showed he can still play. Like, I mean, the guy was a high draft pick, right? So yes, I would sign him again.
Love him. Love his grit. Love his stay at homeness. Good shit. Oops. Good stuff. Comrie in net. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Please. I really like to see him. He really got stronger as the season went on. And I think he's found a home. He's comfortable here. Yes, please.
Yeah, and I don't think the young guys, Milik and DaVincis, are ready to step up yet. And I think they need probably some more time in the AHL. So you give that to them. So yeah, I think Comrie would be the guy. And again, it depends on contract, right? Because well, I guess the cap is going up, so it gives you a little bit more room to sign a backup keeper for a little bit more.
It's not like he's going to get a contract like Brassois.
No, did Rossman even end up playing at all this year?
Didn't seem like it.
No, I don't think so.
Did he play against the Jets?
Oh, he was in Chicago. Now that I think about it, I don't remember if he actually got into a game.
I thought he played against the Jets.
Maybe
Anyways,
so long ago.
speaking of so long ago, was Tanev here for the fucking? Was Tanev?
Whoa.
I don't know why. Was Tanev here when the Jets made the long run?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think yes, you keep him. I think that was my dependent because I didn't look it up and I totally forgot until I looked at him and I'm like, was he here for that? I'm like, you know what? Yes, for the right contract, and if he wants to be here, yes, I think he's a locker room guy, and I loved his grit in the playoffs. I loved his on the edge play in the playoffs. It just wasn't supported by anything else, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. And he was a totally different guy from that first run back in 2017-18. He to me was a force, and that's where he ended up getting that freaking crazy contract after that, right?
Yeah.
This one, he had his moments, but to me it wasn't enough to bring the guy back. And this is where I fall in. Time to bring in some new blood and maybe see what these younger guys can end up doing in that role. Because you still had Kupari, who never ended up getting back into the lineup,
That's right.
who I believe is an RFA as well this year. So Gustafson looked decent at times, never ended up getting a chance in the lineup. And I know the playoffs are different. The playoffs are you need those grinder guys. You need those guys that are going to go into the corners and hit. But to me, Tanev didn't do enough to spark my interest in keeping him around past this season.
Where's the best? Let's move on to some NHL talk. Where's the best landing spot for Mitch Marner?
Winnipeg. No, just kidding. I think he needs to go somewhere where he gets less scrutiny, less hate, less dumped on, right? And I'm looking at a list, and I looked at odds, and the first two teams were Chicago, or first three were Chicago, Philly, and Pittsburgh. And I'm like, probably not the best options. Chicago would be a great fit. I think him and Bedard would be a fantastic fit. But you still got that pressure of Chicago. Philly would be a gong show. I don't think you want to go there because they will shit on you probably more than Toronto fans do. Pittsburgh, yeah, could be a good fit, him and Crosby. But Utah was number 4. So I'm going to pick number 4 on that list because, hey, you can go to Utah and just be that guy. You can put up your 100 points. But if you don't put up your 100 points, the fans won't kill you for it. You know, or you can get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and the fans won't kill you for it.
Fair enough. One with those betting odds.
Yes.
I'm going to say, for the sake of drama, for the sake of rivalry, for the sake of this team actually being surprising this year and how Mitch Marner would help them improve greatly, I would kind of like to see him go to Montreal. I'd love to see this Toronto kid, whatever Toronto born or whatever region he was exactly born from, hometown Toronto Maple Leaf kid, go to the rivaled Habs and just flourish. Because they were pretty surprising this year. Am I wrong in remembering this or what?
No, Montreal was not expected to make the playoffs at all this year. So yeah, they had the very surprising season, and
Yeah. So I'd love to, and they have cap space. So I'd love to see him get a chance there. You know, Montreal loves their team, but they don't hate them when they're not doing well. Maybe they do. Does Montreal throw jerseys on the ice, and are they known to hate their team when they're not doing well?
well, I can't say for sure because I mean they haven't done well for the last few years, right?
Yeah.
And they've kind of been patient with the kind of rebuild. The fans are still going. I
Yeah.
don't see jerseys on the ice, right?
Yeah.
But once you get the pressure on you and you should be a good team and you underachieve like Toronto has, who knows, right? But I think Montreal has been kind of a bit more trouble. The thing is, Montreal, yes, it's been a long time, but Montreal actually won some Stanley Cups since 6 teams were in the league, right? It's been a long time, yes, for Canada and all that, but you know they've
I
had
think
some
that'd be great.
success.
Like the eyes would be on that game on TV all the time. Marner going back to with the Canadians. So yeah, I'll say the Montreal Canadiens.
It'll be interesting because it'll probably take you 12 to 13 million dollars a year to sign this guy, right? You
Hey,
know,
they got the space.
so yeah, you need the space. I know Toronto will have the space, but at the same time, do you really
Get
want to
out
go
of
back
there,
to Toronto
guy.
for another 8 years and
Oh, get
deal with
out
the
of
misery of it
Toronto.
all?
Leave that place, please.
So
Leave that place. You might have to go south. If Paul
yeah,
Maurice wins a second consecutive Stanley Cup, where would you rank him in the all-time list? I'm putting him 12 to 15-ish. To me, he's better than that clown that was in Chicago that got hired again, who turned his head.
Quenville.
I wasn't gonna use his name, but you did.
Sorry, sorry.
And I think he's also better than Daryl Sutter. If he wins a second consecutive one, he wouldn't be good as Dick Irving. And it'd really be hard for me to give or to rank him ahead, even though I never saw this guy coach. I don't know what he's about. It'd be really hard for me to rank Paul Maurice over Jack Adams, who the coach of the year trophy is named after. So I'll go 12 to 15-ish all-time coaches, which isn't damn bad for your
Yeah.
boy, Paul Maurice.
I'll give him credit, man. He's done a great job in Florida. He's obviously got a very good team there, but he's done a good job with them as a whole. And I'll give him credit. Like if you look over his last 10 season-ish, like he's been over 500 in his last 10 seasons or so. And and even
All
a couple
10?
more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. The last 12 seasons, he's been over 500.
That's pretty good.
And so a lot of his losses started, earlier in his career, right? When he was still a young coach, still learning and with some not very good Hartford teams, right?
No.
So right now, I think he sits third in wins, still number one in losses, obviously, but 28th range in win percentage of coaches over 1,000 games. So that's still fairly low. But the two cups, yeah, will make a difference. I would slot him probably 15 to 20, somewhere in that range. And I mean, he seems to be, like this Florida team seems to keep rolling. So, even if they don't win the cup against Edmonton this year, I still think this Florida team is going to be back next year or in contention next year. I mean, look what they did to Carolina. They had a tough series against Toronto,
Nowadays.
but they went down again 2-0 against Toronto and came back, won the next three. And then, in their last two wins against Toronto were in embarrassing fashion for Toronto, right?
Yep.
And both those games were in Toronto. Those were on the road that you spanked them. In Carolina, yeah, you just did a number on Carolina and Florida or Tampa in that first round too. I was shocked by that, how easily they got by Tampa in that first round too. So
Dude's a good coach.
I'll give him credit. His time was done in Winnipeg. No matter what you want to think or
His
say, the
voice
time
was
was done here,
getting
right?
stale.
But he did it. He did a good job in Winnipeg. None didn't always agree with his decisions at all, but it was done here, and he's found a good spot in Florida, and I'm happy for the guy. You
Hell
know,
yeah.
he's coached a long time, and to see him get that cup last year was fantastic. We'll see if he can do it again, but it'll be a tougher series. Edmonton seems to be rolling this year and a better team altogether than last year, so it'll be interesting.
So Hartford, Carolina, he coached. Who did he coach after that?
So he was in Toronto for a bit.
With a young team?
No, I don't think so. I think they had not a contending team, but a decent team. He
Was
was
that with
over
Dion
500.
Phaneuf?
Yeah, he was over 500 in both of the seasons he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only lasted 2 seasons there, it looked like, which is interesting. Yeah, the first year he was over 500, closer to 500 in the second season, and then he got let go. So Hartford, Carolina, Florida, and Winnipeg, Toronto.
Do you agree with him that the coaches should not be involved in the last handshake line?
I don't remember them ever being in that lineup years ago. I always remember them shaking hands at the bench. So yeah, it is kind of for the players. The players should be going through it and shaking hands and all that. I could go either way. I'm not staunch on saying, hey, no, don't get in that line.
Yeah.
But to have that conversation with Brindamore last night on the ice was kind of funny. But
Oh, of course.
yeah, I'm good either way.
I agree with him, but I think there are certain circumstances where the coaches should be in the line, like when DeBoer was in the line to greet Shifley at the end of the game. I thought that was really, I thought that's what he should have done.
Yeah.
as one of the leaders of the team, that he should have been in that line to greet Scheifele, and I thought that was a great thing to do. I don't know if that was the sole reason or the motivation, but I think in that case that you get a pass.
Yeah, and that could have been a good question to Maurice. If he was the coach of Dallas in that situation, what would he have done there? He's definitely not ignoring Scheifele, right? So
for sure he would have went to say, well, maybe he would have went to the dressing room before and they were close.
Yeah. I guess there's another time for the coaches to go talk to the players from the other team and all that kind of stuff, or even after the handshake line if they're still out there. But most players on the losing team are getting the heck out of there, right?
It's all those different with Maurice and Scheifele because they have a previous relationship beyond their series.
Yeah, exactly.
Good discussion on that. Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? It's good to be back. It's good. It's good to do this again. Can't wait for the Bomber season to kick off. That home opener is going to be fantastic. Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. Have a good one.
Yeah, in the words of LeVar Burton, in the meantime, in between. I thought I was really going to get
almost there.
This one. Almost. Preseason. In the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.